record on this computer.
Copycat.
And it's recording now. And so we'll share that film a little bit later on. Welcome, Ali, even though we can't see you.
Are you there, Ali? Hi, Eily.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I'm at home with my daughter and we're about to have dinner, but I wanted to be with you all. So you're on in the background.
Yay.
Lovely to
That's
see you.
great.
And a wonderful memorial for our beloved friend. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for being here. Excuse me.
All right, so Lois, you're sort of the MC of the evening.
Oh, I am. Oh my God.
You didn't know you were going to do that, huh?
No. Well, you know what I think would be nice? If we could start with a little sort of incantational blessing or something.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Image of
Lynn,
I have a huge drum. Shall I
Yes.
bring it out?
yes, bring your drum and let's have whoever feels able to say something like that, which I think Lynn can do. I don't know. I'm not used to riffing incantations, but.
Yes. I have a beater for everybody. You want one? I'm going to turn. No, that wouldn't work. Okay. So what I was thinking in the last half second was that I can just tell you the Angawa song. It's just hey, 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 Angawa. And you say that 3 times. And then you sing it at a higher tone. And then it's Angawa, Angawa at the end. And it's really just calling in the spirit. Kind of a simple song. Yeah.
Okay, maybe you could start it and then we can join in.
Right. Sing it all the way through once, and then maybe we could do it a couple more times through after that.
Sounds good.
Hey, 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 Angu. Hey, 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 Angu. Hey, 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 Angu. Hey, hey, Angu. That's one time through, and I'm going to sing it a little lower because I cannot do high.
Okay.
Hey, 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 Angu. Hey, 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 Angu. One more. Hey, 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 Angu. Hey, 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 Angu. Hey, 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 Angu. Hey, 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 Angu.
I see Ambika.
What about Ambika?
I see you there.
I am here.
I don't see anybody else right now.
You
But
know?
I have this little phone, so I can only see one person at a time.
You don't see me?
Now I see you when you're talking.
Okay.
Yeah, that's your setting.
I find your effects really fascinating, Susan.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ron, that's a beautiful canvas. Is that your painting?
It is.
Oh, I love that. Is it a galaxy?
It is something like that, yes.
I love that.
Oh,
And I like your t-shirt too. I want one.
Somebody else said that earlier.
Oh, now I can see more people. Yay. I'm not used to using it on the iPhone. So now I can see more people. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So I know I asked you guys to bring a poem of George's that you loved, and also something that you've written to George. I thought I would just start out. I'm not going to read my poem yet, but I wanted to read something that I came across of his, which is kind of an essay. I can find it here. Where did you go? Okay. So I was really, I mean, as we know, how incredibly profound his work was. And the more you mine it, the more you resonate with it, you know, the more you see what's in between the spaces and how a single line can just sort of send you off onto some whole universe. And I came across this today. So I'm just going to share it with you. And it says, he says, thinking begins only when we have come to know that reason, glorified for centuries, is the stiff-necked adversary of thought. The human being is not the Lord of beings, but the shepherd of being. Why is love? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I can
Okay.
hear you.
I just disappeared. I can hear, but I can't see anything.
Oh, we see you.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. How do I get back?
I don't know.
Ooh. I'm sorry, continue.
Okay. Why is love beyond all measure of other human possibilities so rich and such a sweet burden for the one who will be struck by it? Because we change ourselves into that which we love and yet remain ourselves. To be a poet in a destitute time means to attend, singing, to the trace of the fugitive gods. This is why the poet in the time of the world's night utters the holy. In no way can it be uttered as can other things which one can learn. Rather, from out of a full co-existential dwelling with the thing itself, as when a spark leaping from the fire flares into light, so it happens suddenly in the soul, there to grow alone with itself. In the work of art, the truth of an entity has set itself to work. To set means here to bring to a stand some particular entity, a pair of peasant shoes, comes in the work to stand in the light of its being. The being of the being comes into the steadiness of its shining. The nature of art would then be this: the truth of being setting itself to work. And so man, as existing, transcendent, abounding in and surpassing toward possibilities, is a creature of distance. Only through the primordial distances he establishes toward all being in his transcendence does a true nearness to things flourish in him. Wow. The more original a thought, the richer its unthought becomes. You cannot heal a single human being, even with psychotherapy, if you do not first restore his relationship to being. Being here as an existing human being is always one and the same as being there with you. In no way can it be uttered, as can other things which one can learn. Rather, from out of a full co-existential dwelling with the thing itself, as when a spark leaping from the fire flares into light, so it happens suddenly in the soul, there to grow, alone with itself. And that's it.
Thank you.
Such a remarkable philosopher and so well spoken and well read. Thank you.
I love what he says here. To be a poet in a destitute time means to attend singing to the trace of the fugitive gods. This is why the poet in the time of the world's night utters the holy. I mean, it just feels so present with us.
It would be
So,
nice some of these, you know, quotes or poems or pieces of his writing, like, so that we could all read them later, because sometimes it's hard to find them.
yeah, so this is in this is an essay of his, which is going to be in a book that's going to be coming out. And Ron, you want to talk about that a little bit?
There is a file that I attached, and if you look under the chat section, there was a file that I attached for everyone. It's a image file. You should be able to just click on it, and then it should pop up on your screen. It's a book cover for The Silence Calls.
I love that. So gorgeous.
Can you see it? Can you share it on your screen, Ron? You do the share screen?
That's a little more difficult.
Okay. I can't do it.
You can't click on the file.
You can
Oh,
look at that.
No, I can't either. I disappear when I click anything.
I don't see it
Okay.
on my chart, actually, but I've seen it. I don't see it on my chart.
Take a
yeah.
look at it.
All right. Give me a second here. I don't know if I can or not.
While you're looking, I need to say that I have to pick up my daughter and her family from the airport, and I have to do a car exchange before that. So I may have to go in an hour. I will have to go in an hour.
Well, I don't think we'll be here that long, so
No, really.
I'm going to get hungry.
Oh.
Well, Lynn, why don't you go first? Why don't you read what you wanted to read? And
Okay,
say
but
what you
I'd like to begin with something which you all probably already know, because I have alluded to it in a post in general, Facebook. I don't think it went to far ways, but excuse me. I don't talk to people very much, so my voice is like, what? What are you doing here? Okay, so about 20 years ago, I went to the Zen Center for a weekend to engage and volunteer at the Zen Center. And I volunteered for working in the garden. And so the first night before the gardening work, we had a general kind of session, and we were all gathering around, and I hadn't been to the Zen Center for a long time, and there were tons of people there. And I walked in, and I only saw one place to sit. And so I went over and sat there. Pretty soon, this tall, thin, older guy walks over to me, named George G. I call him Georgie, J-O-R-G-I. George, the Jisho comes to me and he says, excuse me, but this is the place for the Roshi. And I had walked over and sat myself down in the seat, so to speak. And then the next day, George and I worked together all day. And so I met him that way. And I don't know if through him came all of you. I'm not sure how I initially got connected with all of you, but that's how I got connected with George.
What year was that, Lynn?
I really don't know. I'm guessing it was about 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we read poetry the next night. It was really an amazing weekend. Yeah. So I wanted to choose the poem, George's poem about the heron and the shimmer, but because, Ron, do you have children?
No,
Oh, okay, so George and I think are the only one who share that experience of having had children, so I decided to relate to that one. And this is his poem called Unborn, the Cry. The unborn child is crying to be born. The white owl circles, silently listening. Razor thin and piercing the cry of the unborn child. One shudders in a grotesque swarm of bullets, another pines away emaciated. Death is thinning his passionate blood. A third goes under the waters half glad to be drowned. The saint is pierced by incessant arrows of desire. Words like leeches hang from every wound. Is there a way to know the wound from the child from the word? Or shall we simply live the cry, cry after cry, arrow after arrow, wound after wound, where every pore is a mouth? A poet hangs from the wounded tree. Child after child is calling to be born, and each one is the one and only child. This was in January of 2014. So I took from that a line of the saint longs for the magic for the child and wrote a poem called Saint longs for a magical child with the epigraph, the saint is pierced by incessant arrows of desire. Words like leeches hang from every wound. Child after child is calling to be born, and each is the one and only child. Okay, my poem today. A dispossessed, vagabond longing inhabits the poetry of her being. Its consonants are arrows on her tongue. The soothing vowels like an infant's lips around her relinquished nipple. Even if she encounters the wolf in a dazed, tenebrous woods who bats away her basket of confections, planting seeds beneath her indigo tunic, an enchanting interlude may eventually ensue. A benevolent white owl circles her belly. Inside the abiding presence of eyes emerges, and soft fingers trace the dome above them. Occasionally, a foot will stretch upward along her ribs, a gracious pulsing. The dogs of Ma corner her into concealment, while her habit obscures that inner sanctuary. Muffled mews testify from the tranquility of her womb. The knowing cannot be annulled. Perhaps they will find refuge in the forests of their quickening in grottos of abundance, or pipe their echoes from a summit, unsheltered, effusive, or maybe an encrypted Elysian poem composed in margins of evening vespers will convey the life liberated to the white owl's wing.
Hmm. Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel George, you know, I don't know. I think it's so hard to bring one person who means so much, who has so much, who's connected with us each on a deep level into the space of moments, you know, into the space of an hour or just any kind of fleeting sense of time. It's just in that presence when I'm with you there in that poem and the white owl circling the womb, and I'm just feeling his breath, you know, feeling that sense of him with us. And I hope he is. I hope he is. So,
Hey, this is Ron. I'm going to go back to screen sharing because I figured out how to do it. So can you see this?
yes.
So
Beautiful.
this is the cover of the book that's been a work in progress for a while, and then Lois and I are working together to make it happen now. So
Amazing.
she's going back and editing the poems at this point. I'm working on the design of the cover. And I assigned an ISBN number to it at this point. But we're going to basically share copies with the family first, and then make sure they're okay about any future publication. And if they aren't, we won't do it. We'll just share the copies of the book, and I will just, you know, put this aside. It won't be a book that we'll actually publish, but they'll have copies for the family.
Yeah.
In the family.
I can't imagine that they wouldn't, because it was his wish that he had a book in the world. And
Absolutely.
Yeah. We have that email that says that he wanted it, you know. So, and I know that there are,
and they'll probably go forward that fine.
yeah.
I just
and
don't know
that
how
there are-
probate works in the UK.
How what works?
Probate. How
yeah.
state law works in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure his daughter will be very happy if you do something like that.
Yeah, that'll be wonderful. So
Yeah,
this
we'll
is what the
figure it
book
out.
cover, and this is his artwork on the cover, and we think this is a self-portrait he took of him on the back cover. So it's really going to be, you know, all of his work other than us working on designing the cover and editing the interior.
Wow, he took that picture of himself?
I'm sorry?
Yeah,
The photo of himself he took?
that's his self-portrait.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember that a while ago, he went through this phase he was posting on Facebook where he was doing a lot of self-portraits.
Like selfie.
And playing with the colors and the lighting and all of that.
It's like from a cell phone self-portrait?
I don't know if it's his cell phone. I don't know if it's from his
It's
camera
amazing.
on a tripod. I have no idea.
I suspect that he did it on a tripod because he was a photographer too, and he had a pretty good camera. So he probably set it up on a tripod and just did a self-portrait. And I think he did a series of those, and I remember him doing those.
Right.
This thing is very gorgeous, Ron. Really beautiful.
It's so beautiful. When I saw that, I thought, I want to buy that book.
Good. Good. I have one of his poems I would like to share.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Let's see if I can get back to. All right, so I don't think the sharing is working this time, but I'll just read it because it's pretty short.
Okay.
The silence of the flower itself. Your breath still echoes on my cheek. It is our song, beloved as in that night of the moon high above the Pacific Ocean, with the owl circling on silent wings, the deer's head lifting, her fawn beside her, voice of a moonflower in a cloudless sky. Silence listens to herself under the pine tree. Hearing nothing, she begins to sing, and her white robes stir. I would gather every sound she may utter, for without her, I have no way to be.
That's beautiful.
There's a final line in Italian, but I cannot say it. So I think
That's all right.
Is that naughty, Ron?
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Ron,
yes.
is there anything, like if you could say something to George now, what might you like to tell him?
You know, I was just kind of the passing of George makes me think of the passing of my own parents. And I was really close to my own parents, and I felt close to Georgia many times. And there was not that much of an age difference between my father and George. I mean, my father was born in 1927, and George was, I think there was like a 7-year difference between the two of them was all. So as I was thinking about that, I kind of went back to, there's this piece of poetry from the Bible as Aliki Barnstone's father would describe it, since he did a translation of the Bible. And this comes from 1 Corinthians. And it's one that we read when they passed away, but it's a poem about mystery. So listen, I will tell you a mystery. We will not all die, but we will all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound and the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed. For this perishable body must put on imperishability, and this mortal body must put on immortality. When this perishable body puts on imperishability, and this mortal body puts on immortality, then the saying that is written will be fulfilled. Death has been swallowed up in victory. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting?
What was that line? Death has been swallowed up in what?
In victory.
In victory. Okay.
Death has been swallowed up in victory.
I've heard that before, Ron. I didn't realize it was from there. That famous last 2 lines.
Yeah, it's from 1 Corinthians 15. And it's actually verse 51 through 55.
Beautiful.
Beautiful to know, except Ron, you should know that you should say 1 Corinthians these days.
Say what?
Oh, never mind. It was a bad joke about Corinthians and all of that.
1 Corinthians.
So, a reference to the way that it's pronounced by a certain president.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Thank you, Ron. That was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Perfect. And I remember on different occasions when you spoke with him on Facebook, talking to him about that connection, you know, with your father and with him. And I could feel that resonance too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, our age difference was probably only 17 years, but so he would have been a little too young to be fathering children, maybe.
You never know.
Not necessarily. 17 is perfectly old enough.
Yeah, yeah. So I have another, I mean, there is another poem I shared recently, and if I can, but it's one that I actually published previously in another book of poetry. It's called The Wizard and the White-Faced Clown, Zen Priest. And I don't know if any of you have heard it or would like to hear it, or that's the other thing that I can offer this evening.
I have heard it and I would like to hear it.
Okay, let's see if I can do this any justice. Wizard and White-Faced Clown, Zen Priest. George Jisho Robertson, a wise old soul and friend, an anam cara. The wise old wizard sits with a winsome smile and a knowing look. The visage of a wise white-faced clown bears its marks with laugh lines and wrinkles well earned. He has seen so much of life, known joys and sorrows, love always or nearly always, deep friendships and family. He lights one more cigarette, not his last by any means, a reminiscence perhaps of an ancient amulet, a shaman's talisman. The smoke drifts upwards, curls around his head as visions and dreams. If you look closely, you may see Buddha sitting under the sala tree, or a Naga prince sheltered by a king cobra in safety from thought forms without number. With a piercing vision, he looks up. His students bow politely, sit and promise and smile back. Nothing is said between them. There is no need. There is only this moment, here now, complete now. It happens subtly. Letters and symbols begin forming wordlessly. They speak, and then something breaks through beyond thought and form. Silent verses, poetic language spoken between souls in a single silent tongue. In that silence, in this infinite openness, they rest as one. One world arises and passes away, then another and another, mirrored in thought, in breath, where all creation moves in wordless expectation, in stillness, to be still and fully known as mystery.
Wow.
Oh,
So
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Lynn.
I was just saying it is so gorgeous, and it carries all of those kind of mythical conceits that George would merge and weave into his poetry in your own amazing lyrical way. And I really love that. Yeah. Plus, you know, Joey the clown came in too.
Right, Joey the clown. That was one of his characters.
Where?
The clown, the child, the, what else was there? Clown, the child, the angel, the...
There were a lot of archetypes.
Yeah.
Probably.
Ambika, darling. Your voice.
Oh, Ambika, we can't hear you.
Can't hear me?
Are you?
We can now. I guess you just need to speak up a little bit more.
May we hear you?
You can hear me. And I don't want to bring the mic too close because then it becomes sometimes jarring.
Yeah, I know.
Just speak up a little bit, or
Or put your hearing aids on, honey. I'm just kidding. Okay, so I used to collect George's writings, and he knew that because I said, can you just send me a PDF because it loses formatting? I said, if I'm marooned on an island, I just want your work. I met him a long time ago, and then it sort of filtered. And after Ojai, one thing I really remember about Ojai is the drive to Mount Meher Baba's Mount. Who else went with us?
Me.
Yes.
we were all there.
Pardon me?
We were all there.
We all
I
went.
didn't- I was not.
Yeah, no, not everyone went. And that
Oh,
was,
okay. I thought you meant the actual trip to Ojai.
No, the place
I don't know.
pushing above the tree in the sky.
yeah, which caught fire, and when
I
Ojai
know.
caught fire. So anyway, it was it, uh, it was a fascinating time. It was so beautiful. I remember one night at he and Peter and Lois and I were writing poems back and forth, and it just flowed. And those nights were not often, but that one night was pretty amazing. And so I have a piece that is his, which I found today. So we are looking back at 2011, but I think I met him in 2009 and so on. And so it goes. So and then Ojai was 2013, right? December 2013.
It was.
Yeah, December 2013. And I remember he wanted us to go and buy him cigarettes, and it was so painful to buy him cigarettes because he was so, because it, like for Ron, he was close to my father's age.
Yeah.
And, I'd seen my father getting unwell, and it was really difficult to see George also getting unwell. I don't remember who drove with me to the market. Who was it? Was it Ron or was it Peter? Peter, because we'd gone for some wood and stuff, and we were kind of, okay, let's just do it, So it is just the way it is. So what I'd like to do is read his poem and then read one that I wrote in response, either to this or something else. I wrote many poems in response to his, but I cannot place them right now. Usually I write JGR somewhere, but I can't find them. So
I think we should have another gathering, definitely, like when we can also arrange Peter and Jen to be here.
Yeah.
And we'll do it again.
That's
We'll
fair.
have more poems and stuff to share. So, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
that's when we get to share the naughty secrets, the second one, because so yeah, so I'm going to read his, then read mine, and then I'm going to read a short one which is in response to a photograph, and I'm sure it is his with the lake and the trees. So okay, so this is George. Its title is 7, then there's the work. The number 7, then there's the work. One of my garden children is crying. The leaves flag dehydration, not enough of what is enough. I tease her up from the dirt ever so gently and loosen the roots a little. See how it is, and give intensive care under the Chinese temple bamboo, a lusty sibling. Here's deep mulch, my dear, a good soak. Sit quietly where I'll see you when I go to the office, which is where I go to work now in this community. In Zen, we have what is called samu, cleaning what is already clean. And I'm dusting surfaces when I get a call. One of my children has much to tell me. To be a listening space and honor their voices, regardless, to heal what is perfect and whole. My children, such a beautiful grief in my eyes and ears and heart and guts, my grief, their beauty, just as they are. Their pain, my pain, and a prayer. The words only dilute the pain. When cleaning's done, I service me. The teeth, the hands, the good coffee, putting away the garden hose, picking up my notebook. It's time for the Sunday talk and greeting visitors. I give the talk a title, write a description, send all that to Fred for the website. The cops are celebrating. As it travels through the ether, I check the phone messages, take orders, answer questions. I have dishes in the sink waiting to be washed and a raft of commitments on my desk. Today is one day only. There is one moment, and this is it. I am the moment, and all my children, my siblings, my tasks, and the cursor traveling across the page a breeze from the air conditioner and the joy. It's not perfect yet, is it? There's work to be done. News on the screen. Ethiopia warns of Somali dangers. Spain battles forest fires. Tamil tigers deny peace overtures. Overtures? Hardly, for the orchestra is in full voice. A child cries, another bleeds, a mother mourns. My children are in peril. What have I done? What is yet to be done? The blue jay wants to tell me, sitting on a juniper branch, staring at me, restless, calling urgently, every morning, visiting, sits on the head of the little Buddha. Being born is not so easy. Being born is not so easy, he calls, his head on one side, watching me closely.
Mm.
And I think that's when I shared my blue jay from Mount Shasta as well for him after that. So in 1910, can you imagine in 1910 I wrote my next poem? We'll just make it 2010.
I'm sure you did.
I'm sure. I wrote it with you, Lois.
Yeah, you did.
We have to remember that one now.
Okay.
So, and it's very interesting. Somehow after 2015, I felt we all disappeared. 2014,
From each other or totally
I just felt, huh? What?
disappeared from each other, or we made a disappearance.
So I have a poem from 2010, November 13, 2010.
Okay.
And I pasted his photograph on this because I had seen him and I'd watched a video on Kashmir and this poem came through. And my note to him is, dear George, just watch the video on Kashmir, then saw this picture of you. And this is the poem that spoke through. I had no idea it was sitting somewhere on my shoulder's shoulder. Okay. The poem is titled, What Do You Remember? What do you remember? Do you remember the chasing of halos, all tangled in the trees above? Or a thought on its own journey through dust of nations, breaking on our pages? Do you remember Darjeeling tea boiling from memory, soup awaiting your footsteps past midnight bells, coarse, coiffed hair coming undone, all down to the toes? Do you remember the wail of a cat like a baby's, the way the moonlight swarmed its way through midnight windows, the lake lapping in longing for land's embrace, a kiss? And those gardens torn to shreds, tightly shod feet of soldiers' bullets, while your child waited for you. The beatitude of all our days, filtering into glory, into sorrow for the songs that are to come. Do you remember the poets who died trying to reclaim a piece of land, their children displaced in sundry places where halos beckon? Come, come, let us pour these halos into wine, sip our poems until the day we decide we shall no longer tread the dust of all nations. Let us recall our best for the rest we long for, so we can continue the journey into encircling arms. Let us remember what that was like, so it never eludes us. Let us remember our gardens where each petal was a sermon of longing fulfilled by the fragrance of its singular presence. Let us know that this was all worth the drama, the illusion of power, that nothing else matters but this. Moments revealing, we stand cleansed, naked in the light of halos arising. Spirals encircle all our being, just like this, just like this. This is how our tears fall, even from the skies.
Wow.
That was
That's
wonderful.
beautiful.
That was really wonderful. And it's kind of, in a way, it's a reflection of much of what is going on in the world today, because there's such a right turn going on, especially in nations across the world, and no longer a value placed in some cases on liberal democracies. And so your images of nations going to dust, I thought was pretty appropriate.
So, well, you know, coming from the whole colonized nation stuff, it's a whole different
Absolutely.
experience. Yeah, but actually, I'm seeing a change in the country. You know, there's no more ISIS. Wars have been stopped, so that too has happened. So I want to read this short piece. It's in response to this poem, this photograph, I think, that George posted. It's short. It's a very beautiful, placid lake with an evening sky and trees. Okay. And I said, and so here it is. I don't have a title. So. This stillness, tapestry of morning, woven by a flautist. George, I'm seeing him right now smiling, you know, that askance, that sly smile from the side like that. And bent over, I'm like, really? That's what I'm seeing now. Maybe a pipe in his hand and a stick. I'm like, okay, all right. This stillness, tapestry of morning, woven by a flautist, whose very existence, and I'm thinking of my father, whose very existence is defined by the singing of trees in the water, lapping into infinity. This stillness, tapestry of evening, whose later wings swing into the skies to come home. A nest in a tree whose branches sing in the water, lapping towards home, whose shores rest awaiting nothing. Isn't this where we all go? Where he is? And this stillness, rich with surround sound, wherein the Buddha awake smiles so fully that we do not see it, but feel it in our belly, who understands the sweet flavors of sensuous delight, whose whispers make surfaces of water curl with delight, capturing the light as it passes by into the silent heart of deep rest.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Dearest hummingbird,
I'm
You
humming.
you look like a geisha.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't
You're
find my
You're
background.
so beautiful.
I could, but it's making like a heat mark here, which is interesting.
Oh, but you're like a drawing. You look like a, yeah, with your head resting in the palm of
Of my hand.
a goddess.
How have you done that?
Because I was trying to choose some kind of, because I'm sitting here with like kind of a bare ball. So I was trying to find a picture. I just had the picture of my hand offering light. So I just put that, because the other ones were kind of hard to see my face. So at least you can kind of see my face a little bit.
Just
So
a
you
little
made
bit.
yourself transparent.
I
You
didn't
do
try.
look transparent.
Well, that's good, because then the words will come through clearly,
Maybe.
hopefully. Is it my turn?
Yes.
So it's funny because I was connected to both Ambika and Lynn mentioned gardens, and when I think of George, I think of this garden heart. Like, actually, I was really moved by a post I read where he talks about this figure of Kuan Yin, and I guess I had sent him my poem of Kuan Yin, who's this figure of love and compassion. But I think of George as kind of a Kuan Yin of the garden because he had this compassion and love for gardens. So I didn't have poems I found, but I found two garden posts I'd like to read. And also one of them inspired my poem, which is called Imagine Gardens. So the first one is from 2018, which is interesting because it's also hot, evidently there, as it is here. It's very hot, I don't know, in Texas and where you are, but here it's very hot and there's fire. So, so he says, we are still enduring great heat, like a cool hand pressing us down, but my years of soil improvement and watering have created a rich, fibrous, protected topsoil over most of the garden. So there is much moisture reserved underground. In the new year, I'm going to invite a fine band of young professional adults who call themselves South London Cares to adopt emptying my compost bins and distributing the good stuff as one of their mission projects. I shall make fine teas and coffees for them so gladly, intelligently. They will only take on clearly defined projects that have clear beginning and agreed definable completion, so it don't get messy and contentious. All of this is joy to my neighbors, especially the housebound and the more demented, who have something to watch that grows and blossoms more and more, year on year. The 2 wild pear trees I planted in the year 2000 are higher than the building and growing vigorously, even to this heat. The bees get nectar and pollen from them, and the birds get little hard pears. Whereas the birds sow 1 or 2 cherry trees every year, I have not found any descendants of the pears. And then secondly, which was what really moved me, was he made this comment on a different occasion, and I don't have the year because I just copied it, but it's the following. I truly feel astonished. Okay, let me get this.
Oh, I'm missing you.
You're missing me? Can you see me now?
Okay, I truly feel astonished.
I truly feel astonished to enjoy this in my own life and garden, or life garden, or it's a core energy in my life. The first garden I created was when I was 14. My sister and I'm interested to remember, created a mound in the very form of a stupa, or cosmos center omphalos. I have never ceased. I don't even pause. Where some were to count sheep in order to get to sleep, imagine gardens. So this inspired me, this idea of his continually creating gardens and suggesting that instead of counting sheep, we should imagine gardens. So I wrote a poem called Imagine Gardens. George, you never ceased creating gardens, nor paused once you began the work of nurturing a plot of land. Wildflowers and roses, shade trees and herbs, all watered by your doting hand. Where some counted sheep in order to lift themselves to sleep, you offered a greater leap. Imagine gardens, you said. So tonight, in the midst of daunting heat, unable to breathe or sleep, my cat collapsed under a chair, so hot he cannot move to drink. I try not to think of the 11,000 lightning strikes, 370 raging fires, burning up and down the state, darkening air with smoke, wildflowers and wildlife that can't escape, people in the midst of a pandemic having nowhere to go. I cannot think of any hopeful thing except your suggestion, which carries me into a cooler place, inside a garden's drink of grace. I imagine after the flames are through, fallen ash will help renew depleted soil. Plants will again burst through, forests and gardens will return. Just like you have returned through words, bringing seeds of gardens with you. If the power of our intention can travel through air, move forces of weather, change the course of clouds and winds, if the collective intent of many hearts can lift in prayer, can envision gardens, shower dry brush with waters of love. Oh, let there be a prayer for gardens, sending rain from above. I imagine millions offering that prayer with you. And I imagine your hand reaching out to, holding a watering can. I'm imagining gardens, George. I'm imagining them.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh my God, people would love that so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. That is gorgeous. And so captures the essence of the good gardener, and in death and in rebirth, and in the nurturing aspects of, even in death, what nurtures. It's beautiful. Thank you. And I think of the fires too. I actually wrote a poem. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry. If you have another poem you want to read, I don't want to cut you.
Well, that was the poem. It was when I think of George, I think of all these flowers, these beautiful photographs of flowers, and when I saw his posts about the gardens, and then his implication that we should imagine gardens. That's all I could think of.
That's perfect. That's just stunning. I feel like we need a challenge for George, you know, like that we've written inspired by him or his photographs and his poetry, and that is.
Well, actually,
incredible.
I mean, I don't want to take Lynn's time because you haven't gone. But the only other thing I would read, because he loved that figure of Kuan Yin, and I sent him my poem of Kuan Yin, would be the Kuan Yin poem. But I'm concerned about Lynn's time. So
I've already read, dear. Did you not hear me?
Lynn is red.
Yes, you did.
yeah, but,
Yeah.
but
You went first.
When do you have to leave, Lynn? When do you have to leave?
Time? Oh no, I have time. I have,
okay, well then,
Give us a little time.
I thought we started, yeah, I have time. So,
Okay.
if you have time, I would love to read Kuan Yin.
yes, please do. But may I ask if there is any way that you all can post your magnificence, post your poems?
I would love to send it, however I can.
This recording can be put on YouTube and we can get a link and it can be kept to private.
Ah,
I would send the written poem to you, Lynn, if you like.
thank you so much. I would love that.
So this Kuan Yin, I was reading back in a post that George had fallen in love with this. He posted a figure of a Kuan Yin, and I guess it was in his sister's house, and he loved that Kuan Yin so much. And then I guess what happened was he wasn't sure when the objects from the house got dispersed, what happened to that Kuan Yin. And so he posted it kind of with this love, with this wistful longing for this figurine. And that's when I sent him my poem of Kuan Yin. And I'd like to just kind of reprise that for him. It's called Kuan Yin. I believe it's also on St. Julian's site. Thank you very much, Ron. So it's called Kuan Yin. You sit upon a pedestal of jade, milk green, your light flows liquid from within, pulsing prayer through rivulets of stone, and so you are contradiction. Made hard jade, yet soft, like sacred love, Kuan Yin, you guide me even now. Through you I own my stiff resistance to God's grace, afraid to melt. I keep my edges hard, and in my heart I keep your love for me alone. Your right eye holds a tear, or ever laid in stone. It holds me too. I drink you in. Search for your source of peace, the deep calm known and shared by you. Within the jade, Kuan Yin, it's here. I remember now. Compassion.
That's one of my favorites of yours. That's beautiful.
Thank you, George.
And he really loved that Kuan Yin. He really did. And he had a photograph of it. And he would share it every once in a while. And I remember that.
You would share the figurine or my poem?
No, the photograph of the figurine.
Of the figure, yeah. He loved that figure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I ask, when you say Kuan Yin keeps her edges hard, what do you mean by that?
So this is a figurine from the Museum of the Pacific Asia, and it's jade. So the jade figurine is hard, but inside there's this kind of connective energy. So it's that sense of in the human dimension of things, where we sometimes hold a hard surface. Our edges sometimes are protective barriers, but within that jade, that hard jewel of protection, there's this love that pulses outward.
When you were speaking about gardens, I wrote one about the garden of his. Do we have time for me to read? Shorter.
I think
You haven't read yet, Lois.
I haven't.
Yeah.
And I would also like to finish with a poem of his. So I can read something and then you can, and then I would just read a short poem of his at the end. Is that all right?
Yeah, we should. What time do we need to end? Because I'll be working till about 12 tonight, and I don't have to read another one. Just curious.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to plug my phone in here before
No apologies about anything. Computers are all acting up these days also, so it gets things go hiding and don't click.
I would love to hear both, you know, if it's possible for everyone.
Oops. Just dropped you. Hang on 1 second.
That looks very cute.
You're following my lead, Lois.
That looks so cute. No. I need to do something to my computer. Things disappear. Okay. Where did Lois go?
I think she's getting her pen.
Okay.
I had to plug in
Okay.
because my phone was going away.
Okay. Are you plugged in now, honey? Okay.
I'm all plugged in.
You're
So
all charged.
Yes. Keeping in sort of tracking with the earlier line of George's about the fire, and then Susan's mention of the fire. And I have, sometimes when I write, as I'm sure all of us have the same thing, whatever's going on at the time kind of melds into where your heart is at the moment, you know?
Yes.
And so I was thinking about the loss, you know, of George, and thinking about the redwoods and the fire.
Yeah.
And we know that these redwoods are have incredible longevity, even with the fires. Many times they survive, you know, and they live to be a couple thousand years, some of them. So this is called Redwood for George, and I just wrote it so it's new. It is night, and the fires break open. They rise slowly, and this time they will reach your crown. What grows within is neither rage nor calm, but the need of lightning to touch you. Here, the hollow of your body is curtained in flame like a portal to a future. Your canopy of leaves still safe in the mist, hundreds of feet above. I press my cheek to your bark and keep your silence. The prayer you were before the stars were dense with distance. Even now, as the flames consume your past, I can't keep from holding what you were. If I can believe in these ferns brushing my waist, I can believe in the scent of dirt beneath your fingers, still caked with feathers of pine martens and the blood of salmonberry. I can believe the call of the thrush remains inside the light that slants into your garden. High in the clouds, a wind sways your head back and forth. Even as you burn, you are already ocean. Branches spindle into thinness, and the lichen grows. That's it.
Exquisite.
I feel him listening. I mean, he's very
I
present
love
here.
that.
George, welcome.
I mean, you know, like, I know he lived to be 86 and he left very peacefully and he had a good life, you know, I mean, he made his life and he made his garden and he grew his children and he grew his poetry and his students and everything. It's just still a loss, you know.
Lois? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought you were finished.
Sorry. That's all. So, Ambika, did you want to read one more poem or shall I finish with the poem of George's?
You finish with the poem of George's.
Okay, so this is, let's see, where did it go?
Can we not say finish?
That's cute.
I can't handle the word finish.
Begin.
I have plenty of time, I realize now, and I just want this to go on.
So this is the first poem in his book, and it's called Stone Ocean Wave. In that long night, pebbles roared deep, with our wet knees, salt lips, slipping, sliding, falling. The pebble has shaped my human hand. The pigments and textures cry for Earth's ancient pangs. You kissed the stone, and the stone sang. As in the rise and fall of your voice, it rose and fell, eroding to here, eroding to now. My dearest wave, white-robed and elegant, we call to our kindred on the long shore, all who rise and fall here, driven, glistening, calling. This, these, river flow, leaf fall, child cries. When the sense of wonder leaps into itself, we dare to open our eyes to the other. We breathe one another, mingling and vanishing and circling. Self is this, universe is this.
Nice, 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 nice.
Yay for George.
All I can see is George's hat.
George's what?
George's hat.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to ask Lois, a while ago, and I'm not sure how long ago, I will say it was less than 2 months, but I have no idea. You posted something saying connect with him by email. Can you tell us what you knew then, or if you had actual contact with him before that?
I did.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much stayed in contact with him. And there was a point in which he was writing sort of a group email to his family, and somehow it was in there. And so I could kind of keep it in there, you know, within the information that was coming out. And I think that was probably easier for him to manage. And then eventually he wasn't really on email, but that was only, you know, in the last maybe 8 weeks or something like that.
mhm.
And then finally I was concerned. And so I wrote his friend, Jan of 50 years. And I said, I haven't heard anything, you know, how's he doing? And she said, that she went to his, she was going for a visit. She went to his house and she recorded a very tiny little video of him saying, don't worry, Lorlis, he used to call me Lorlis. Sarah is taking good care of me. My grandsons are taking good care of me. And then he looked out to the window and he said, and the plants and the trees. And so that that was the last thing. And then I probably shouldn't share this with his family because I'm far too weepy. But anyway, so then his friend was going to go over last Monday because we were trying to get a firm acknowledgement on the book. And I recorded a poem of his and I wanted to share it with him. So I gave her the link. And when she went there, the carer had just found him. And she said, you know, he went peacefully. And so that was that, you know, it was a surprise. But I'm so glad he got to leave in his home. He didn't have to go away anywhere. He was still very present, you know, and I think he was happy to leave, you know. I mean, in the sense that he lived a long life, and he wasn't afraid of death or anything like that. And so that was a good exit for him.
Truly. Thank you. That helps. That helps.
So, well, I'm so glad you guys could all be here today, and I'm touched by everything you've said and read. And we will gather again.
We will. And just FYI, my mind has been on California recently and all the fires out there. So everyone stay safe. I know you're probably not close to a lot of the fires, but you may be feeling some of the effects of it.
Yeah, we're surrounded by them.
And think about me and Joanne over the next week as 2 tropical storms move into the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, Lord.
Oh my gosh, we'll pray for you.
I forget, where exactly are you?
I'm in Houston, Texas.
Houston. Oh, boy.
Okay, but the good thing is actually, Ron, is that the people that I know that offer light in Houston, that they've had a lot of positive effect of having hurricanes change directions.
Oh,
I thought
wonderful.
positive
And
energy.
you know, I go by that church all the time. I go
Yeah.
by it on my bike ride. I mean, it's not unusual for me to go by it several
Go
times
and get
during the
light
week.
from my friend Mary, if they're open, because at one point places closed. I know New York is reopened. Maybe Texas has. I can find out. But it's
You know,
such
I've gone by and it looks like somebody actually lives on site. 'Cause
yeah. They always
on the
have
side. And I think somebody lives on site, but
someone
I
walk-
haven't seen many cars in the driveway.
But
But I haven't been in there one time and received light from a lovely young lady. That was about a year ago, though.
I want to introduce you to Mary.
I would love to meet her. I would love to meet her.
And she likes poetry.
Yeah, and you know, it's actually, you know, if I get on my bike and I ride straight down there, it's only 2 miles away.
Oh, wow. Well, anyway, the good thing is that the people there are like sending positive energy, flooding your entire neighborhood.
Well, yeah, and they're actually one of the oldest neighborhoods of Houston, so that's pretty cool too.
Yeah. I'll pray too for you.
Good, good. Well, love everybody, and this was a good gathering, and we should try to time it again where Peter can join us. And
Yeah.
I don't know,
And Jen?
do we have any other word from Jen and what they're going through down in Australia?
You know, her partner has lymphoma, and they just found out. And so they're going to see, apparently has a tumor in his stomach that's pretty large.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, and so they're going to see whether he can get treated with chemo or treated with enzymes. And I think, you know, like I heard from her, I don't know, whatever it was, a week and a half ago or something. And I think that's why she's kind of dropped out.
Well, sounds like they're dealing with a lot, you know, like the time when my mother's house crashed and the whole family had to turn towards her and pay all of our attention towards her. So it's understandable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll meet again soon. Not hopefully, we will meet again. And we can celebrate George, we can celebrate each other, and share more of our lives and our work and everything. I mean, this is a special core group. And I want us to stay together.
Well, I think every time we have like an outing, like our future faraway outings, we should always read something of George's.
I think that's a
agree.
great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
He'll always be there.
Yeah.
So there's that too. And Lois, if you hear from Peter, give him our best.
Yes, he texted finally. He sends his love to everybody. And he was sorry. He is in a cabin and he doesn't really have access to Wi-Fi. So next time we'll arrange it.
He
Yeah,
said
we'll do
something.
the timing a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and end the call and go probably. Joanna's gone this weekend. She went off to a retreat, and they are practicing proper social distancing. But I'm in the house by myself, and feels like the bachelor days, so I need to go fix myself some dinner.
Okay.
Oh, wow. I hope it's delicious.
Me too. Hope the cook is really, really good.
I'll send you my dessert through the internet.
Very, very good. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and end the call, and hugs and kisses to everybody, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep painting.
Love and blessings.
Thank you, Lynn.
Wait. Hold it. Don't move, Susan. Stay right there. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Right, thanks.